The division that Connor McDavid sarcastically referred to as a pillow fight has now produced a team that has a berth in the Stanley Cup final, the Vegas Golden Knights. And maybe McDavid was referring to the 1983 film Bad Boys starring Sean Penn, where Sean Penn is a violent youth offender sent to a vicious reformatorium. And he is making waves there, and the two guys in charge, the two teenagers in charge, are going to beat the hell out of Sean Penn. So Sean Penn, what does he do? He gets his pillowcase, he fills it up with about 8 cans of pop or soda, if you wish, knocks it up. They come up on him from behind, turns around, beats the living hell out of him. And that's exactly what the Golden Knights did to the Colorado Avalanche in a stunning 4-game sweep. One of the guys, though, that was part of the pair that were going to beat up Sean Penn was Clancy Brown, who carved out a really nice career, and you might remember him as Byron Hadley from the sadistic prison guard for Warden Lorden in Shawshank Redemption. Just a little trivia there. But what an amazing display by the Vegas Golden Knights, who did not have the greatest regular season. There are 6 teams that had more than their 39 wins, and they pull it off. They go through Edmonton, then Anaheim, and sweep Colorado, which nobody saw coming. Even the most ardent Knights fan, the most optimistic Vegas fan, never saw this coming. And this is the hallmark of this Vegas organization, as they are completely the most aggressive organization in the NHL. And they don't wait. They don't wait to see how things turn out. March 29th, when they fired Bruce Cassidy, while Vegas was fighting for the top of that pillow fight division, everyone thought, Kelly McCrimmon has lost his mind. How is this possible that they're going to fire him? But they did. McCrimmon and Bill Foley, the CEO and chairman, saw something they didn't like. They didn't like the way the team was playing. They could see an early playoff exit, and they decided to bring in, of all people, John Tortorella, who one of my favorite coaches. And one thing, Torch will overstay his welcome, but when he's first there, he gets people to buy in and to listen. And everybody is responsible. And Tortorella, it's me, it's us against the world. He did it in the series against Anaheim by not having media availability and costing his team and the organization a second-round pick, which we'll see if that can be whittled down. But last I checked, the league was going to stand firm on that. We'll see what the Knights do in the offseason to kind of supplement that or kind of ease the wound of that decision. But that's how Tortorella plays. It's my way, the highway, and it's going to be aggressive defensive hockey. It was a clinic of aggressive defensive hockey in this series against the Avs, especially in games 3 and 4 in Vegas, which you think, as we've seen through these playoffs, I believe the road teams are the home teams are 39 and 32, I believe, right around there. So it's not been a huge home ice advantage. I asked the Sabres here in Buffalo. I asked Montreal what they're currently going through, the big one tonight against Carolina. But you think they would get away from it a little bit at home, take a little more chances, forget it. They even tightened down even further. Colorado's favorite play, their offense is predicated upon the first pass. And they took that away from them the entire series, especially in Vegas in game 3 and in game 4 last night, and forced Colorado to make short passes that were immediately contested by the Golden Knights in their defensive structure they played. They had one guy hide, or they would have 2 at the line. It did not help Colorado that McCarr was hurt. Obviously, he did not let anything rip from the point during the series that I saw. McKinnon take the puck off the knee in game 3. That didn't help their fortunes when it was do or die last night. And I will say the tandem of Wedgwood and Blackwood played well. There's none of the goaltender's fault for Colorado, which I always thought was going to be their weak spot, but they just smothered them. They absolutely smothered the Avs. And the last period and a half, it was probably the closest I've seen to 1995 New Jersey Devils hockey. And I know it brings back bad memories when it was the dead puck era, but that kind of commitment to aggressive defense and forecheck and taking away the neutral zone, all of Colorado's skill was nullified by the Vegas skill, the Vegas positioning, and being coached to play aggressive defensively. They were just outstanding. Marty Necas, where was he in this series? I don't know. But you really have to give it to the Knights organization. Now, everybody, the Knights were branded right away by their success by everyone else in the league because of the sweetheart expansion situation and the expansion rules, the parameters involved, and it gave them a Stanley Cup final team in the first year. Which you're in Buffalo, you scratch in your claw. You're in, say Winnipeg. They've never been there. You're in Minnesota. They can't get over the hump. But remember, this was everybody's cast off. These are guys that they didn't want in the organization any longer because of contract, of age, or they did not turn out the way the organization did not fit into the organizational philosophy. And the Knights said, hey, send them to us. We'll figure it out for them. And they have. Sore spot here in Buffalo, Jack Eichel. It's long past time to put the Eichel hate to bed. Yes, he was immature while he was here. Yes, it ended ugly. But as a player, and that is your career, it is your choice. Your choice, because you're the one who's going to have to live with the medical procedure. And the Sabres were not keen on his approach. That was the sticking point. That gave Kevin Adams the excuse to trade for him, getting Alex Tuck and Peyton Krebs in return, a decent return, but nothing compared to what Jack Eichel has become. He has matured into a complete two-way center. Elite scoring ability, completely and totally committed to the back check and in the defensive zone, which we didn't see in Buffalo. We saw a little bit towards the end, but not much. Killing penalties on the power play, on penalty kill, like I said, blocking shots. The maturity of his game is noticeable, and he's not asked to be the man in Vegas like he was here in Buffalo. He's just part of the solution. And what a player he has been, and scored a great goal in game 2 against the Avs. Another castaway, or not castaway, but another player that was supposed to be a pillar in an organization that didn't work out is Mitch Marner. And Leaf fans are just beside themselves. They're always beside themselves. We all know that. But isn't it funny when someone leaves that organization and in its current ownership and the current management structure and the current malaise they're in, suddenly their fortunes change. And Mitch Marner's become a complete player. Maybe not to the point of Jack Eichel, but Marner has been dynamic. And he is, and Leaf fans are gonna hate this, but he's in the running for the Conn Smythe. He has played out of his mind. Now, playing with Brett Howden and William Karlsson, but his creativity is off the charts. And pulling moves that he said he would pull in the summer training and playing with his buddies, and they're like, you're never going to try that in the NHL or in the regular season, let alone the playoffs. Well, this wide looping of just stretching around pass in game two, I believe. And of course, we'll never forget the breakaway against Anaheim in game 1. Not in game 1, but in the Anaheim series. Just unbelievable that these stars wound up in Vegas, and this is what Vegas does. They find a way to get this top end talent, and they put them into their system, into their organization, into their philosophy, and they blossom even further. Eichel was a very good player when he was in Buffalo. Mitch Marner was a very good player when he was in Toronto, but they've taken the next step. They've gone to the next level in Vegas. Why is that? Because they're out of their particular situations. Obviously, the Buffalo situation has improved with this great season exponentially. Toronto is just rudderless. Um, they got out of that, and they're on a team in a winning organization and with a lot of support. Mark Stone, their captain, plays on the third line. He got a critical goal last night. One of the Avs goals, the first one, playing with Thomas Hertl and Colton Sissons. I mean, up and down this lineup, you look at even the fourth line with Cole Smith, Nick Dowd, ex-Av, and Keegan Colasar, one of my favorite fourth line wingers. They're big, they're strong, they're physical, they're extremely skilled. And this is one thing about the 95 Devils that people really didn't realize. They had a lot of offensive skill that committed to play defense. And Stefan Richer and Claude Lemieux um, and Bobby Holik, he was young then, but they weren't just all left wing lock, trap it up, and you get 8 shots a game against them and maybe 4 quality opportunities. This is incredible, aggressive team defense, and you just can't say enough. And then you go to their defense. Their top 4. Their top 4, Braden McNabb and Shea Theodore are your first pair. Excellent first pair. Second pair, Noah Hannafin and Rasmus Anderson. That's your set. That's a top 4. That is a nice top 4 I put up again. That's one of the top 5 top 4s in the league. And Rasmus Anderson had his troubles adjusting coming over from Calgary, but he is blossomed now. He has figured it out. It helps having a great partner in Noah Hannafin, but also helps being Rasmus Anderson, being that kind of high-end talent. And their third pairing, Dylan Coghlan, who was in the Vegas organization from 2020 to 2022, goes to Carolina for 3 years, plays a season in Winnipeg, comes back to Vegas. In the last 3 seasons, Coghlan has played between Carolina, Winnipeg, and Vegas 10 NHL games. 10 before playoffs, where he's played 8, has a goal and 2 assists. And he's been an excellent third pairing, part of a third pairing with Caden Korczak. This is something that which the Sabres are going to figure out. Got to figure out your third pair. You cannot rely on the top guys. They don't have a Makar. They don't have a Dahlin that's going to go 30. You can 29 to 30 minutes a night in a regulation game. But they're well-rounded. They're well-coached. They are totally bought in. This is what makes them so dangerous, because it's early in the Tortorella tenure here, because we know Torts wears out his welcome, and players tune him out after a while, but not now. I mean, Mitch Marner, after one of the press conferences, says, we got to make this quick because the bus is leaving and Torts will leave me here. And he might have been kidding, but I don't think he really was, because that's what Torts would do. They got him all bought in. It is talent, 1 through 18. Carter Hart, who got through some really ugly allegations. The court threw it out, so you have to respect that. What a redemption story. Showed flashes in Philly. Game kind of fell apart. Nobody wanted to touch him. Vegas took a chance on him, and he's been excellent. Is he the sole reason? No, of course. The team plays great in front of him, but he's been there, and he's made the saves when needed. So the Vegas Golden Knights, their third trip to the final in 9 years. Everyone thought the chairman and CEO, Bill Foley, was nuts when in his introductory press conference, when the team was created, saying we're going to be in the playoffs in 3, we're going to win the cup in 6. Well, I'll be damned. They did win the cup in 6. Third appearance in 9 years. How many teams around this league, no matter what you think of the Knights, no matter what you think the way they game the system, no matter what you think of how they were created originally and how they continue to add to their team, how many teams and this of fans of organizations, including this one of the Sabres, would love to be in their position, and their position now is 4 wins away from a Stanley Cup.